Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar for Equidox AI, a fully automated PDF remediation solution. We're very excited about this cutting-edge technology that is solving for challenges within the financial services sector. By way of introduction, my name is Paul Campbell, and I will be joined by Tim Needles and Dan Toletta for the next 30 minutes. Just some logistics for today. The live audio Q&A, as I mentioned a little earlier, is not available for this webinar. However, you can drop questions in the Q&A chat button at the bottom of your screen, and we will get back to you after the webinar with any answers to questions that you post. Additionally, this webinar will be recorded and will be sent after the meeting, in addition to the deck and a short survey. We're happy to do a more direct interactive session with you and other team members if they're not available to join here today. And we would love to further our conversations as to how Equidox AI may be a fit for your organization specifically as a follow-up. Overview of the agenda for today. First, Tim Needles, our president and CEO, has joined us to talk a little bit about who is Equidox Software Company, who we are, where we've been, and where we are going. I will then take over to discuss the challenges that we've seen in the financial services sector specifically and our solution to the problems we've seen. Then Dan will talk about why do we make PDF successful and what's really driving this, followed by an overview of Equidox AI and how it works. And lastly, the last half of the meeting, a demonstration of our solution. With that said, I'm going to hand it over to Tim Needles to give an introduction to Equidox. Tim?
Oh, thank you, Paul, for the introduction. Much appreciated. And thank you all for joining us here today. We're exceedingly excited that you're here with us to we showcase our AI solution. Now, we know that many of you have been feeling the pain of PDF remediation for some time in terms of excessive cost, compliance issues, and risk mitigation issues from lawsuits. And you'll be pleased to know that there is a better way, a better solution. And after the demo, I think you'll agree that Equidox AI is a superior solution and can solve your problems as it relates to PDF remediation. Some of you might think we're the new kid on the block, but Equidox has actually been in existence for over a decade, way back when a Canadian citizen was trying to apply for a government job posting on the internet, but she was unable to do so because of her visual disability. So she sued the government and she won her case. The government sought out a solution, but they couldn't find one, so they asked the marketplace to respond. Hence, we started building a solution and haven't stopped innovating since, over a decade. We created a robust SaaS solution that now hundreds of customers around the world are using. The solution is truly world-class and is adding tremendous value to the marketplace of digital accessibility for enterprises, government, and educational institutions, and certainly financial services. Our customers love the product, evidenced by the fact that nearly 100% of our customers renew their subscription every year. Well, that's all well and good for the legacy SaaS product, but we started hearing years ago from organizations like yours that had tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands or even millions of documents that needed to be remediated even on a monthly basis, and there really wasn't an automated solution for that. The traditional service providers were sending the documents to India and other countries, but there was really no efficient way to scale in that model. So companies were forced to settle for a solution that frankly is really time-consuming, expensive, and doesn't truly mitigate the risk of a lawsuit for your company. So our demo today will prove that there is a better way to remediate large amounts of documents. It's saving you a bunch of time, a lot of money, and all the hassles of old school remediation. It's great to accomplish these benefits, and we're really proud of what we've done and achieved. But we're really most pleased to provide a game-changing solution that assists the visually disabled. We're really passionate about helping these people, and it's invigorating to work with organizations like yours that share our commitment and passion. So thank you again for taking the time to be with us today, and we look forward to serving you. Paul, back to you.
Thank you, Tim.
Welcome.
So as Tim mentioned, Equidox AI is a fully automated PDF remediation solution that removes the traditional manual remediation and the auto tagging methods while still increasing the quality, accuracy, and compliance that we're all looking for. And we've really found that the financial services sector can get great value out of Equidox AI. This is because of, number one, unfortunately, the rising lawsuits in the industry under the ADA and AODA in Canada, and the need for end users with visual disabilities to access important information from their financial institutions as an equivalent experience as sighted users. Number two, large quantities and sheer volume of templated and reoccurring documents that consistently need to be accessible because of these compliance requirements. And then number three, the challenges that these organizations have with current processes, quality, speed, and overall vendor sprawl because of the large volumes, which we will expand upon here in a moment. So many customers, are doing something, but unfortunately are still exposed or getting sued because of the volumes that they have to manage. It's a very challenging, thing to overcome. Some of the larger use cases we see in the financial institutions may include, but are not limited to, any type of reoccurring monthly, quarterly customer statements, fund offerings, portfolio insights. These are all great candidates for Equidox AI because of the high volume, repetitive templated nature. Now, the main challenges for financial services organizations when it comes to PDF remediation that we have found are, number one, costs. Multiple vendors, outsourced providers, and overall investment in internal personnel is very costly. It can be a runaway train of costs because of the industry standard price per page is exponential, and manual work to this capacity and scale can be very expensive. Quality, number two, because of the cumbersome manual processes and corners being cut to manipulate checkers, the auto tagging mishaps and issues, and then multiplied by volumes of pages in scope and complexity, really leaves organizations exposed to non-compliance and lawsuits because of these elements. And number three, speed. Demanding legal requirements and quick turnaround times to get accessible information to, our customers consistently is really not realistic to accommodate with traditional manual processes and the auto tagging methods because of the volumes to manage when coupled with quality. And as Tim mentioned, we wanted to create a better way. And we saw, this gap in the market, and we did. And Equidox AI solves for these challenges. Our experts have found a way to truly automate the PDF accessibility process for many of the financial sector use cases involving high volumes. Equidox AI automation allows good quality, usability, and compliance every time because of our unique model creation. We don't auto tag or cut corners with checkers or rely on a human element to get the process done. Equidox AI automation also accommodates aggressive timelines because of relying on technology. We can dictate how fast the solution runs and turn the dial up or down, so to speak, to accommodate timelines that may be required per the customer. And lastly, Equidox AI automation allows for lower costs, process improvements, and vendor consolidation. So with that, I'm going to turn over to my colleague, Dan, to talk about why it's important to make PDFs accessible and how Equidox AI works. And then lastly, a demonstration of our solution. Dan?
Great. Thanks, Paul. Hi, everyone. And I assume everyone on this call is probably at least somewhat familiar with various accessibility laws like the ADA, Section 508, the Affordable Care Act. Now, I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not going to go into all these details of how these laws work. But at a high level, just as there are requirements for organizations to provide physical access, such as wheelchair ramps, elevators, braille signage, organizations need to ensure that their public-facing digital content, including PDFs, is accessible to everyone, including people with disabilities. Ignoring the accessibility of your digital content opens up your organization to legal risks. There have been thousands of organizations who learned that lesson the hard way when they were sued for exactly that type of problem. And there are thousands more who quietly pay large settlements out of court, and yet they still have to go back and fix their accessibility issues after the fact. So long story short, we live in a very digital world and we rely so heavily on digital information. So digital accessibility is not a fad. It is not going anywhere. It's not going away anytime soon. So it's always good to be aware of it and address it in a proactive way. Oops. Let's see here. Okay, sorry about that. Gotta get my mouse under control. For anyone who isn't sure of why we are making why this digital accessibility stuff matters, people with disabilities use various types of assistive technologies to interact with digital content like PDFs. A very common type of assistive technology is called a screen reader, which is capable of reading digital content like websites, applications, and of course, PDF documents. Screen readers use digital tags to navigate documents, and tags need to be properly encoded into a document to organize the content and make it compatible with the screen reader. So think of tags as the framework of the document, which gives the screen reader the ability to navigate and interact with all of the various elements in that PDF. Equidox, in cooperation with the National Federation of the Blind, surveyed about 250 blind and low vision individuals who rely on screen readers every day to interact with PDFs. Based on this survey, we found that at least 2/3 of the documents that they interact with are inaccessible to people with disabilities. If you put yourself in the shoes of a blind person, and you can quickly imagine how frustrated you would be if you could not read 2/3 of the documents that you came in contact with on a daily basis. And on top of that, imagine the potential privacy issues if you have to go ask your neighbor to read to you your monthly bank statement or your credit card charges or your investment portfolio summary, whatever that document might be. Obviously, you want to keep that information confidential and private. Okay, so next slide. So just to further emphasize the points that I was just making, a couple of slides back, there's some additional information here about the volume and the types of lawsuits that the financial sector has faced and will continue to face moving forward, unless they start doing something about it. So just to reiterate, the digital accessibility requirements that organizations must adhere to are not going away, and they will continue at an increase, and the increase in attention will be paid by state and federal mandates, the Department of Justice, disability advocacy groups, and individuals who simply want to be able to access their critical information. So let's talk a little bit about the human element of AI. One of the main challenges around PDF accessibility is that each PDF document is unique. We've heard a lot of empty promises of fully automating PDF accessibility, but there are so many things about PDFs that require human interpretation to decide how to tag the specific elements within the content. I've been working with PDF in the PDF accessibility market for about 7 years, and I have seen a lot of organizations, and I've talked to a lot of them, that have assumed that they are accessible, they have accessible documents because their documents have some tags in them. But they quickly learn that those tags and those documents are not usable, nor are they compliant, and their organization is still wide open for litigation. So just be aware of any organizations out there talking about auto tagging technology. Auto tagging is really just masking itself as a solution to fully automate PDF accessibility, but auto taggers are capable of simply putting tags on a page. There will always be accuracy issues, and the inaccuracy of those tags will lead to a lot of confusion and frustration for that screen reader user. And additionally, auto taggers can and will leave that organization open to further litigation because there is no guarantee of compliance with any of the web accessibility standards. So if you pay to outsource your huge batches of documents to auto taggers, you are not mitigating your risk of litigation because these auto taggers, again, fall short of true compliance with the standards. And then the alternative of outsourcing the remediation work to third parties who are almost exclusively located overseas introduces a mountain of data privacy issues. And even if you can work around that, the volume of documents is impossible to keep up with. These outsourced remediation providers will cut corners and do the bare minimum amount of work to make a document pass an accessibility checker, but not actually make the document compliant because it simply takes too long to meet that customer's deadlines at this type of volume. So incorporating artificial intelligence more specifically, computer vision and machine learning into high volume PDF remediation allows our accessibility experts to train an AI model to accurately identify and tag all of the elements in the document template. The use of the AI developed by our data scientists, paired with the human element of trained accessibility experts that we have here on staff, allows for incredibly accurate, usable, and compliant PDFs to be returned to the customer in a fraction of the time. Because the AI works exponentially faster than humans manually tagging each page, AI doesn't need to take vacations. AI can work 24/7, 365 on demand without any breaks. And of course, AI doesn't need to cut corners to meet deadlines. It can do it the right way the first time. So, how does all of this work? So, our accessibility experts use example documents of customer templates to properly identify the various elements on the page. These elements might include text and paragraph structure, various levels of headings, lists, tables, graphs, and images, and of course, the very important reading order of the content. This training data is then fed to the AI models to apply what it has learned in mass to many thousands, tens of thousands, millions of pages that have similar templates and formatting. So, although the mechanics of how AI technology works is it's rather abstract and a lot more complex than what I'm capable of showing you on a simple PowerPoint slide, there's a few examples here of how we can visualize AI at work. In this scatter plot that you see on the slide, each of the green dots represents a page within a PDF. They are grouped together based on similarities that the computer vision finds. So this cluster will contain all of the pages that contain pie charts. So you can keep an eye on the pages here that are all going to contain pie charts. Obviously, these are all going to be kind of in the same neighborhood that the AI is capable of locating and identifying. In this example, you can see there are different multi-column text layouts that the AI will use to recognize different pages and then group them together appropriately. The AI will also pick up on things like font styles and size and color and background colors to help it establish the tags on a page. We can even train the AI to identify many potential variations in tables, such as the numbers of columns and rows, table headers versus table data, and even tables of different sizes that might span across multiple pages. The result of all of this extensive document analysis and feeding the training data to the AI is creating a fully compliant PDF without any human remediators who are expensive to employ onshore or outsource offshore. And they are, of course, liable to make errors or be forced to cut corners just to meet an unattainable deadline due to the volume demands of your organization. We are also reaching full compliance because this is not the auto tagging method where we're throwing sloppy tags on a page and saying good enough. So beyond compliance and passing automated checkers, the bonus of using AI for high volume and hyper fast remediation is that it will produce incredibly accurate and very much usable documents for people with disabilities. So your customers who rely on assistive technology will not be filing complaints or lawsuits. They won't be calling your headquarters to complain about a document that they can't navigate or understand. So we're getting ready here to jump into the demonstration of how the technology works. But I just want to make it clear that this underlying technology can be deployed in several ways to align with your organization's requirements. We have built an interface, which I'll show you during the demo, that can allow your employees to run the process from start to finish with just a few clicks by uploading the document or documents, running the batch, and then downloading the finished PDF. We can also embed AI models into an existing document creation and delivery system through the use of APIs. This would be critical for customers needing to download private documents like a monthly statement or an explanation of their portfolio summary or a credit card bill, whatever the use case for a document that is supposed to be private and confidential can be directly delivered to that user. Lastly, another method is that Equidox could operate the process as a managed service. So we can take care of the remediation and validation and get everything back to you in a fully compliant way to be posted and distributed publicly if that's the use case that you have in mind. So there's different methods to implement this technology. So just keep that in mind during the demonstration. So just one more thing to note. Equidox AI is applying the PDF tags at the post-processing stage, which you will see during the demonstration. So these PDFs are already created, and we are applying the accessibility as a final step before they are publicly distributed. The advantage of tagging PDFs at the post-processing stage is that we are not having to disrupt or more than likely completely rebuild your document creation process. So your designers and your producers and whatever systems you have in place of mass document creation can continue, and we will handle the accessibility component at the very end, right before the document reaches your customer. Okay, so I'm going to jump out of the slide deck, and for anyone that wants to share this webinar later, there will be a video, of course, with our demo attached for this slide. But I'm going to jump into our actual Equidox batch interface. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate the fully automated remediation of a set of bank statements. So bank statements are a good candidate for Equidox AI technology because in general, they will follow a very similar formatting and structure, but the data within that structure will vary from version to version. So for example, if I just open up an example of what we're going to be talking about, people's names and account numbers and mailing addresses will always be different, but the location on the page will be very consistent. Line items on the statement might vary. So for example, one customer might just have a single charge on their credit card for a month, whereas another customer might have 500 charges requiring their statement to merge onto 4 or 5 different pages of line items. So there will always be enough variance from one version to the next that will make old-fashioned auto tagging inaccurate and unreliable. And of course, you cannot outsource the remediation of confidential data to third-party companies located offshore. Even if you could, the volume of documents like this that you're producing would be impossible for them to handle. So as what I was mentioning before, for a use case like this, a recurring monthly statement or an invoice or a portfolio summary, it is more than likely that your organization would want to implement this final accessibility step as the final step in the accessibility of this at the final step in the process, so that your customer is automatically receiving their accessible document without any human involvement. And we can, of course, accommodate this through the APIs. So visualize a scenario where that is not me pressing the buttons to operate the system, but rather this is directly integrated into your document creation process to achieve true automation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by uploading the documents of the bank statements that I just showed you. So I'm going to go to the Upload Documents tab. I will open up my folders, and I will just grab this zip folder, which contains the documents. Once I press the upload button, it will just take a few seconds to upload to the cloud. And I will then go to the Create and Run Batch tab here on the interface. From this tab, I have a drop-down menu where I can select the appropriate model that I want to apply to this batch of documents. Now, we have other demonstrations that we can provide for different types of use cases, depending on the type of use case you have in mind. In this example, I'm going to be doing that bank statement, so I'm going to choose the statement model. I'm then going to choose the zip button, radio button here, to then select the zip folder that I just uploaded. Now, once I've gone through those 3 quick steps, I simply press Run Batch. Now that the batch is running, I can see sort of the steps that are of the document in this process. So take note of these various dots that represent the stages of the process. So Equidox is analyzing each document and automatically applying the correct zones or tags around the content. Once the documents finish at the AI step, they will go through the export engine and become available for download or automatic direct delivery to your customer. So you can see these green dots kind of processing across the page. Now, just going back quickly to the original document, I just want to make note really quickly here that this document coming from the original folder is completely untagged. So there's no tags at all in this document. It would render this entire PDF, essentially useless. A screen reader user would have all of this content just being read in a totally random order. The tables themselves would be impossible to navigate or understand. So this entire bank statement is completely inaccessible and, of course, very much out of compliance with all relevant accessibility standards. So we'll go back to the batch interface here, and the process is nearly done running. In this current version of Equidox in our little demonstration environment, this batch takes roughly 80 or 85 seconds to finish running. And when it does finish, you can see that all of these documents have gone through the process, and there were 20 of them. So 20 documents have been fully remediated and exported. And if you were to download any of these and then open them up in the Adobe Acrobat view, we can take a look at the tag structure. If Acrobat will wake up. I guess I'll save this and we'll open this one up. And now when we take a look at it, you can see that these documents are fully tagged. And furthermore, they are accurately tagged. So you'll notice that the reading order, as I start to tab through, is in a logical order. This image, the figure, which is the bank logo, is tagged with alt text, which we have built into the AI model. The heading structure and the tables are fully tagged. So all of this is 100% accurate, 100% compliant, and 100% usable for your customers. So they can freely navigate all of this information, all of these various charges and line items and debits and credits on their statement. And they are free to interact with all of this information. So without anyone having to manually go through this document and set up all of these table tags and heading structure and reading order, which can take a very long time in the old-fashioned manual way, we're able to deliver a fully usable, fully accessible document to your customer. So with that said, that is a quick crash course through the actual demonstration. Now I'm going to jump back into the slide deck here just to wrap things up because we are quickly running out of time. So as Paul mentioned in the beginning, this slide deck will be shared with you, and there are some links here to learn a bit more about digital accessibility and how it relates to PDF documents. And then in conclusion, I just want to thank everyone for joining us here today, and we hope that you all see some value in the capabilities of this technology. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us for more one-on-one consultation so that we can discuss your organization's use cases that you have in mind and talk about how Equidox AI can be applied to solve for those challenges that you have around PDF remediation. Also, we will be sending the recording of this webinar, so feel free to share this with anyone in your organization who you feel would benefit from it. And we will include a link to the slide deck. And for anyone who asked a question during the Q&A through the chat, we will get back to you as soon as we can with a response to that question. And lastly, there will be a short survey. So if you don't mind just taking a quick moment to fill out that survey, we would greatly appreciate it. So thank you again, everyone, for joining, and have a great rest of your day.
For more information about how Equidox Software Company can help you with PDF accessibility, email us at equidoxsales@equidox.co or give us a call at 216-529-3030 or visit our website at www.equidox.co.